So, how do you start chapter 7? Well, you talk about an absolutely disgusting disease.
No, we're not going to do that.
But CapsLock agrees we should definitely talk about blue waffles. Yes, we should do that.
Are you all out of your mind?
I actually like the idea.
All hope is lost.
Okay, I just googled what a blue waffle is, and a blue waffle is just an absolutely disgusting sexual disease, so no need to Google it anymore. Chapter 7. Rocket Ships. CapsLock grumbled to himself as he made his way through the crowded streets of Ponyville. He'd barely gotten away with his dignity intact, no thanks to that stupid purple unicorn. Now all he wanted to do is grab a snack, go home, and play Battle Stallion 3 before his parents got home and started arguing again. He parked his scooter outside of a bakery and wandered inside. Behind the counter was a pink earth pony mare frosting a cake. She looked up after hearing the door open and her eyes fell on CapsLock. "New pony!" she shouted, running to greet the colt. "My name is Pinkie Pie. What's yours?" "Easy there, Spaß," CapsLock said, backing up. "I just want a cupcake." "But you're new here," Pinkie Pie shouted. "You get a whole party." Confetti and balloons began raining from the ceiling, and CapsLock looked around in confusion. "Are you high?" he asked. When he turned to look back at the mare, she had face paint, large shoes, and a red nose. CapsLock screamed and ducked under the table, covering his eyes and shaking. "Oh, what's wrong?" Pinkie Pie asked, kicking off the shoes and wiping her off her face paint. "No clowns! No clowns!" CapsLock shouted, still covering his eyes. Vision from his youth flashed in front of him crying at the carnival, and his parents laughing at him. And the clowns, oh, the clowns. They chased him through the funhouse and just wouldn't stop. "You're not afraid of clowns, are you?" "Shut up!" CapsLock shouted, his eyes starting to well up with tears. "I'm sorry," Pinkie Pie apologized. "Please don't cry." She tried to hug the colt, but he broke away from her. "Just leave me alone," CapsLock shouted. "Why do you want to throw me a party anyway, so you can rap me?" "I throw parties for every pony that comes to Ponyville," Pinkie Pie replied. "I throw parties for birthdays, anniversaries, tax returns, weddings, funerals, birthdays." CapsLock listened to all the strange reasons Pinkie Pie would throw a party. "I'd bet she'd throw a party if she ever got laid," CapsLock thought to himself. "She'd probably shape the cape like a giant. First successful heart transplant, first unsuccessful heart transplant, first what about rocket ship die?" CapsLock interrupted. He looked at Pinkie Pie with a sly grin on his face. Pinkie Pie stopped completely and removed the calendar from her wild pink mane. "I've never heard of Rocket Ship Day. When is it?" she asked, after flipping through the pages a dozen times. "Oh, it's today," CapsLock replied. "What? And nobody told me?" Pinkie Pie asked, jumping into the air. "But how am I going to throw two parties at once?" "Don't worry about mine," CapsLock said, walking over to the counter. "Rocket Ship Day is much more important than my first day in town." "Oh, but I'm supposed to throw you a party," Pinkie Pie whined. CapsLock removed his crayons and a piece of paper from his school bag, and he set them up on the counter. "I know," the colt said, turning to look at Pinkie Pie. "Let me design the rocket ship decorations. Helping you with the party will be like having one of my own." "That's a great idea," Pinkie Pie shouted, running to the counter. "I can make cakes and cookies and lollipops and banners and—" CapsLock tried to ignore Pinkie Pie as he drew the template for the rocket ship. "Okay, you're gonna want to start off with the body of the rocket ship." He picked up and read the crayon with his teeth and drew a large upside-down U. Then he lengthened the lines and drew two circles. "And these are the smoke clouds from the rocket taking off." Pinkie Pie looked at the completed drawing and saw exactly what CapsLock told her to see. Just a rocket ship about to take off, definitely not a crudely torn penis. "This is perfect," she shouted, grabbing up the sketch. "I'll start right away." "How big are your parties usually?" CapsLock asked out of curiosity. "Well, for someone as important as Rocket Ship Day, it'll be the whole town," Pinkie Pie shouted. She ran to the kitchen and began gathering all the things she'd need for rocket ship cookies. "One more thing," CapsLock said as he got ready to leave the bakery. "Make sure the cake explodes while frosting on the top." Pinkie Pie thought for a moment before shouting, "Great idea!" CapsLock laughed to himself as he walked out into the sunlight. School had let out so early, it wasn't even noon yet. There were still so many great possibilities for his day. He went to get on his scooter, but saw the CMC standing there, looking smart. "GTFO my scooter, bitches!" CapsLock shouted. "You have a small thingy," Sweetie Belle shouted, pointing between the coal's legs. Scooter and Applebloom laughed, and also pointed at CapsLock's shortcomings. His face turned red, and he glared at the fillies. "Is this how you want to do this?" "I can't believe how small it is," Scooter shouted, disregarding the coal's question. Her words came out sounding forced, fake even, like she knew not the meaning behind them, only that they were insulting. "That's all they have?" CapsLock asked himself, quickly catching on. "They think can use the horn horse one good comeback over and over? Big mistake." "I've never seen one that small," Applebloom shouted. She was surprised to see CapsLock smiling at her. "Oh, but I bet you've seen a lot of them, haven't you?" CapsLock said, taking a few steps towards the fillies. "Maybe even had a few, Amarit." "What?" Sweetie Belle shouted. "Fillies don't have those. Only coals do." CapsLock laughed. "Not what I meant." At that moment, Pinkie Pie burst from the bakery and shoved a rocket ship lollipop into each of the poor ponies' mouth. "Happy Rocket Ship Day!" she shouted, and several rocket ship balloons burst out from the doorway. Mayor was filling paperwork at her desk when she noticed several oddly shaped balloons drift past her second-story window. She opened the window and saw Pinkie Pie wheeling a 10-foot-tall rocket ship cake to the center of town. "What in Celestia's name? Dusty, come look at this!" the mayor shouted. Town Hall's janitor walked into the mayor's office, pushing his mop bucket. "What's it, Mayor?" Look at what Pinkie's doing now!" Mayor pointed out of her window furiously. Dusty walked over and had to wait to see for several balloons to pass before he could get a look on the cake. Dusty said, looking away from the window. "She must have hardly gotten laid."
Is this done? Is this finally done?
Actually, there are just 5 more chapters.
This is going to be a long, long week.